Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing Game Week 1, talking about how my week went. We're also going to be looking forward to Game Week 2. I'll show you how my team's currently set up and we'll also have a bit of a discussion around captaincy and transfers. Remember, this video will be coming to you every single week where I talk about the past game week and also preview the upcoming one. So if you are enjoying the content on the channel, please do like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Before we jump into the video and start looking at how Game Week 1 went for myself, I just wanted to give a quick update on the Raptor Charity League standings after one game week. I'm going to do this every single game week, just quickly at the start of each of the videos. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the top 10 managers, or it's 12 in this case. If you are any of these managers, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to congratulate you, but there are some incredible scores there. A lot of these guys did play chips, but that's absolutely fine as well. So well done to Joe, who is top of the league, and Skygale and Habiba, who are 1, 2, and 3. Massive congratulations. Hopefully you can stay there all season. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. So, Game Week 1 was pretty crazy, if I'm being honest. I mean, we have seen some big scores in the past. Last season, I managed to get 97 points, which was a Game Week rank of 22k. And that was obviously a really, really high score. But this week, I mean, a lot of managers hit over 100 points. We've seen, I think 150 points was the top in the world. We see a lot of people that have played their triple captain, obviously glad they did because the two big captaincy choices, Bruno and Salah, did really well. But congratulations if you hit 100 points. As I spoke about in my past video though, Game Week 1 isn't everything, and if you didn't hit 100 points and you had quite a low score, it's really not the end of the world and you can quite easily bounce back in the next few weeks. So I managed to hit 109 points, which I'm absolutely delighted about. That was a Game Week rank and obviously overall rank of about 67,000. Starting in goal, Sanchez, I'm not disappointed at all because with goalkeepers, especially 4.5, you're not expecting too much. I think Burnley was a good opportunity for a clean sheet, and it is annoying because if you did watch the game, the Tarkowski goal was quite clearly a foul, and I don't understand why VAR didn't intervene there, but in my opinion, that goal shouldn't have stood. And apart from that, there weren't too many opportunities for Burnley, so slightly frustrating, but at the end of the day, losing out on those 4 points isn't the end of the world. In defence, we obviously had the double Liverpool clean sheet with Tsimikas and Trent. I think we expected the clean sheet, but it is really nice. Unfortunately, no bonus points or attacking returns for either of the fullbacks, which is fine. Again, you don't expect them, but it would have been nice. Luke Shaw, again, I'm not overly disappointed. I wasn't expecting a clean sheet, particularly against Leeds, and he did get in a couple of opportunities where he could have had a few good attacking returns. So again, not the end of the world. With clean sheets, you take them as they come. Obviously, I'd like Shaw and Sanchez to get clean sheets over the coming weeks, but I'm fairly happy with how my defence performed. Midfield is where the bulk of the points came, of course. All season, if you've been following my preseason content, I've had Salah and Fernandes in every single draft, as well as just being fantastic options. I spoke about the flexibility that it offers you having two premium midfielders. It allows you to get to any other premium midfielder or to a premium striker in 2 moves, which could come into play in the coming weeks with Lukaku and Kane. But Salah, 17 points, multiple returns, 34 as captain, really happy with that. I think Fernandes was the big shock. Yes, he's had multiple returns in games before with a brace or a goal and assist, but it's his first hat-trick in a Manchester United shirt. And to be honest, as we'll speak about later on in the video, he didn't have that many opportunities. He just took everything that came his way and he looked absolutely brilliant. Through the eye test, he looked absolutely fantastic. So really happy to get 54 points from those two. Unfortunately, if you did go without Salah or Fernandes, you're probably looking at a below 100 score. That's not the end of the world again. This is only one game week. And if you did go without Fernandes and you spread the funds, I'm sure you had very good reason to do so. So don't knee-jerk. Don't feel like you've got to suddenly get Fernandes in. Stick to your plan, and I'm sure it will come into and it will work out for you guys. So whilst the 20-pointer from Fernandes was quite the shock, I think the biggest shock was how well Said Benrahma did. Now, I spoke about him in my transfer target video yesterday, which was released. So if you haven't seen that, go watch the video after this one. I still think he's a fantastic option, but my word, what a performance in Game Week 1. We knew he had the potential. We've seen how well he's performed in pre-season, but obviously pre-season is a completely different beast to the Premier League, and he did struggle in the Premier League last season. But to see the positions he was picking up, the confidence that he was playing with, he could have had even more returns in that game. And Newcastle did look very leaky at the back, and it was a very open game, as is always the case between West Ham and Newcastle. But still very impressed. 12 points was obviously significantly more than I ever thought he would get. And I'm glad that I made the switch from Rafinha to Ben Rama at the last minute. And the main reason I did that was just to upgrade the bench, because I knew with Tsimikas in my team and Gundogan and a few other rotation and injury risks that I might need a slightly stronger bench. So that was the only reason I downgraded to Ben Rama from Rafinha. So quite lucky on my behalf, but I'm glad I made that change. We'll speak about the issues with Ben Rama moving forward, because whilst he is performing really well, and that was a great performance in Game Week 1, there are some potential issues moving forward. But picking up 12 points in Game Week 1, can't complain about that. The other man in the midfield, Ilkay Gundogan, slightly disappointed, not with his performance, not with the fact that he blanked, because again, the Tottenham game, I knew he didn't have a huge chance of hauling. He was just in there because I didn't want to take a Game Week 1 punt and then have to move to a Man City player in Game Week 2, which obviously hasn't worked out because he's now injured. Now, we haven't, at the time of recording this, there is no confirmation. The latest is that he's likely to miss Game Week 2. However, it's not a serious injury. So what I take from that is that Pep will probably likely leave him out, bring KDB into his position, and that means that he'll probably come back in for the Arsenal game. So there is potential to roll the transfer, or there's potential to make the move. We'll discuss that later in the video, because that's the key decision for me this week. But 2 points, I'm fairly okay with that. Wasn't expecting a lot from Gundogan. But yeah, it's just moving forward now with that injury that I'm a little bit disappointed in. So if you watched my Game Week 1 team selection video, you'll know the main dilemma that I was having was, do I go for a 3-5-2 with Harvey Barnes, or do I go for a 3-4-3 with Callum Wilson? So it was a debate between Harvey Barnes and Callum Wilson. In the end, I ended up going for the Callum Wilson draft, as you can see on your screen, and I am really delighted that I went for that. Now, Harvey Barnes obviously blanked, didn't perform too badly, also didn't perform too well. A lot of people are shipping out Harvey Barnes. I'll just say very quickly, if I owned Harvey Barnes, I would 100% be keeping him. They've got good fixtures coming up, and I still think he will start the majority of the games, even if he's not performing. I think Brendan Rodgers trusts him and he wants him to perform well. So if I had Barnes, I wouldn't move him on, but I am quite glad that I went for Wilson over Barnes so far. Wilson just looked really sharp, had lots of opportunities. He was in the top 5 for expected goals amongst strikers, along with Ings and Antonio. So I'm really happy. Just passed the eye test when I watched that game. I'm not going to delve into the stats too much, but looked really good. Got the goal early on, which was great for my nerves. And yeah, I'm just delighted that I've got Wilson moving forward. Danny Ings looked quite sharp. Obviously, his XG was quite high, but that's because of the penalty, and fairly lucky to get the penalty in the 97th minute. But that is one of the reasons we picked him. We knew that if El Ghazi wasn't on the pitch, there's a high chance that Danny Ings gets the penalty. So that is part of the decision making. So a little bit of luck involved there, but obviously not too much. Picked up 1 bonus point as well to get 7 points. So I'm happy with that moving forward. I do think that obviously Ings is a transfer waiting to happen in Game Week 4, but hopefully he can get through Game Week 2 and Game Week 3 unscathed with a few attacking returns. And obviously the big, I was going to say surprise, but it's not really a surprise, is it? Mikel Antonio with 13 points. I've spoken about him in a lot of my videos, a lot of different threads and articles on Twitter. He just has fantastic underlying stats whenever he plays. His XG is always amongst the best in the league. It was the best in the league for the Game Week 1 as well. It was about 1.4. So his underlying statistics are fantastic. He always passes the eye test. He picks up some brilliant positions. And his link up with Ben Rama was just brilliant. It was like Wilson and Fraser from back in the day in Bournemouth. The link up between Ben Rama and Antonio was so good. So the 13 points was obviously a lovely, lovely surprise, along with 12 from Ben Rama, getting 25 points from the 2 West Ham attackers. I certainly didn't expect it to be that good. But that is how the team did. 109 points, as I said, absolutely delighted with that. Brownhill obviously being dropped, getting the 1 pointer. I'm not too pleased with that, but at the end of the day, with a £4.5 million mid, you can't expect too much. Cody, as long as he stays fit, I'm happy till Game Week 4, because I'm not going to play Cody until Game Week 4 anyway. So as long as he stays fit, I'm happy. And Luke Ayling obviously got the goal when no one was playing him. Well done if you did have him in the starting 11, but I think most of us would have had Ayling on the bench. So hopefully that isn't his only goal this season, but good to see he's picking up some attacking positions and also getting a few shots off on goal. I'm really, really happy with my team. Apart from obviously the injury to Gundogan, which I'm going to speak about in a minute, really happy with the way the team performed. Let's move on to now preview what game week 2 looks like and what transfers I might potentially make. Now, I'm not going to delve into the team too much because at this stage, I'm not going to be taking a massive amount of hits and I'm just going to be essentially playing the exact same team with the same bench and the same starting 11. So there are a couple of things I want to talk about. There are two players here which I'm looking at and thinking they might be potential issues in the upcoming game weeks. Simicast is the main one. Obviously, he's risen in price now to 4.1 million, which is great. Might potentially go up again, which means we'll sell him for 4.1 when we eventually do. Andy Robertson is now training. He's not in full training yet. He's only running in straight lines. And there is a physio on Twitter. I can't remember what his handle is, but he said that the main issue with Andy Robertson's injury will be those lateral movements when he starts putting pressure and turning quite aggressively as you would in a football match. So yes, he is running and he is out, and that is fantastic news for Andy Robertson, but I don't necessarily think that means, number one, that he's going to be playing really soon, and number two, fit enough to start the game. So I still think Simicast is safe for game week 2, probably game week 3 as well, and I think that international break is when Robertson will step up his fitness even further and potentially be back for game week 4. So just keep an eye on that if you do also have Simicast. Ben Rama's the other one. Now, Ben Rama, I was probably most happy with in game week 1, and I'm still absolutely delighted that I've got him. I'm really happy with the fixtures moving forward. But West Ham have now renewed their interest in Jesse Lingard. I did speak about this in the midfielder watch list video. I do still think that Ben Rama will be in the starting 11 if he can maintain the performances he's putting in. I think what will likely happen is Lingard will go into that number 10 role, and Ben Rama will be pushed out to the left wing, which means Pablo Fornals will drop out. But obviously with Fornals there and waiting, I do think that Ben Rama becomes a slight rotation risk. So Simicast and Ben Rama, I've got my eye on as potential issues coming up. Danny Ings also, but we knew that for a while now. I don't really want Danny Ings from game week 4 onwards, so that's also a potential short-term, long-term issue, I should say. So Simicast, Ben Rama, and Ings potential issues. The main issue that I have is Ilkay Gundogan, and that will be the main focus of my attention this week, deciding whether to transfer him out, and if I do, who to bring in. As well as Ilkay Gundogan, the other main debate in my team is captaincy. Now, I've always had in the research and planning that I've done Salah to be captain against Burnley at home in game week 2. Liverpool were very dominant against Norwich. They looked great. They're now performing at Anfield in front of fans for the first time in a long time. But Burnley have been a slight bogey team for Liverpool in the past. And I know that shouldn't put me off because the Liverpool team that faced that Burnley team are very different. The Burnley team is also different. Fans back in the stadium might give them that edge, but it is slightly off-putting, even though it potentially shouldn't be. And the other reason is Fernandes just looked so fantastic in that first game that it gives us now an alternative in game week 2 that we didn't expect to have. At the moment, I'm probably about 70% in favour of Salah. And I'm just going to flash up some stats from Fantasy Football Fix on your screen. These are the touch maps from game week 1 for Bruno Fernandes on the left and Mo Salah on the right. Now, what these touch maps tell us is basically, where are the players picking up the ball? Where are they touching the ball? And whilst Fernandes scored a hat-trick and he looked incredibly impressive, if you have a look at his touch map, number one, they're quite spread out, but they're also quite deep. He only potentially, I think there's 3 or 4 touches in the box there he's had. So he's not getting into the box that much. When he did get into the box, he managed to finish the opportunities off. But I think whilst he looked fantastic in the eye test, the goal threat isn't going to maintain at the rate of 3 goals a game, especially if he's not getting into the box a lot and not shooting that often. So if you then compare that to Mo Salah, who I know only scored the 1 goal, but if you look at how many touches he's got inside the box and even in and around the box, Mo Salah is picking up the positions and picking up the ball in the positions that I really want him to be in. And as a result, at the moment, I think I'm favouring Mo Salah. And also, I do think that performing in front of the fans at Anfield for the first time in a very long time is going to give Liverpool the edge. I know Burnley are quite a defensive team and have managed to beat Liverpool in the past, but I just fancy Liverpool to win that game quite comfortably. So at the moment, due to that, I am favouring Mo Salah, but I will be deciding later on in the week. So follow me on Twitter to find out if I am going to decide whether I go for Salah or Fernandes. I think both are great options, so don't let this put you off of going for Fernandes. I think just for me, I'm leaning towards Salah. As I said, though, other than captaincy, the main decision is, do we ship out Ilkay Gundogan? And if so, who do we transfer in for him? So in this next section, I'm going to go through the potential options that I'm considering and explain whether I think I am going to end up making the move or whether I'm going to end up rolling. So, as I said, the main decision for me this week is Ilkay Gundogan and what to do with him. So, I've listed on the screen 3 potential strategies that I'm considering. And as well as just trying to make the content more interesting, I like to do this because whilst personnel is important, I also like to think about why I'm making the decision with respect to the content of the decision itself. Thinking a little bit psychologically as well. Do I want to be risky with the decision? Also, tactically, do I want to spread the funds? As well as looking at the specific player, I do also like to try and put them into categories. So, as well as the 3 options on screen, which are all transfers, I do have the option of rolling the transfer, playing Luke Ayling against Everton, and then getting another week of information, and then potentially restructuring the team and getting Heung-min Son in for game week 3. So that is another option, is to roll the transfer, which I might potentially do. But if I am to make the transfer, here are the 3 options. The first one is what I've called the risky straight swap. So in this one, I'm basically saying I want to replace Gundogan with a like-for-like player, someone that's potentially a rotation risk or a short-term punt. And the 2 options that I've gone for, that I'm looking at the moment, are Mason Greenwood and Dele Alli. Now, Mason Greenwood's fairly obvious. We're saying he's risky because we don't know once Cavani and once Cavani and Martial are fit enough to be starting the game, does Greenwood drop out? Also Sancho as well. So Greenwood, whilst he looks nailed for the time being, we're not sure if that's definitely going to stay the case for the foreseeable future. And Dele Alli, I think he should be fairly nailed in that team, but he hasn't demonstrated anything yet that would suggest that he's going to perform at an elite level. So that's why he's a risk. I spoke about Steven Bergwijn in my midfielder watch list video, and also there's Lucas Moura as well. So there are a few good Spurs options for game week 2, 3, and 4, which I like as well. So that would be the risky straight swap, Greenwood or a Spurs midfielder essentially in for Gundogan. I also have the option of Ferran Torres as well, but I don't think I would go from Gundogan to another City mid because then that's another transfer waiting to happen as well. So there's that potential option with the risky straight swap. The next option is a cheap nailed alternative. So here we're looking at the likes of Ismail Assar or Brian Mbeumo, basically getting some funds out of that Gundogan position, keeping some money in the bank so that if I do want to take a hit in game week 3 or 4, I've got some money to work with as well. So I really like that option of basically downgrading Gundogan to the likes of Sarr and Mbeumo. I think at the moment I actually prefer Mbeumo. I like that Palace fixture in game week 2, and I do like the fact that he's playing out of position and he looked very, very good in the eye test. So I like the look of Mbeumo. I'd probably favour Mbeumo over Sarr for the time being, just because of the fixtures for Sarr in game week 2 and 3 aren't particularly great. So that's another potential option, is to downgrade Gundogan to a cheaper midfielder. Outside of that, you've got the option of some more long-term holds. So these are some more of the safe decisions you could make. So if I don't want to make another transfer on another player that also would require a transfer again, you've got the likes of basically Rafinha or Harris. And I'm looking at those Leeds midfielders because they have Everton and Burnley in 2 and 3, which are decent fixtures. Obviously, Liverpool in 4 isn't great. And there is the chance that if Rafinha goes on international duty, he might have to quarantine for game week 4. But after that, Leeds fixtures are really nice. So if I bring in Rafinha or Harrison now for Ilkay Gundogan, I can essentially keep them until probably when I wildcard in game week 7 or game week 8. So that's another option if I want to basically prioritise my transfers elsewhere and I don't want to keep moving around on this particular position in the pitch. So at the moment, I'm probably leaning towards Mason Greenwood, if I'm being honest. Mason Greenwood is the most likely for me to come in for Ilkay Gundogan. Outside of that, I do like the option of rolling, just because it gives me another week and it does give me the possibility to get Heung-min Son in for game week 3 if I use my 2 free transfers. So I do also like the opportunity to roll and play Luke Ayling. But to be honest, I really haven't decided. The reason I've presented the 3 different strategies on screen is for those of you that are also looking at moving out Ilkay Gundogan or another midfielder, you can see basically what I think are the 3 different options that you've got with respect to that transfer. But yeah, again, follow me on Twitter. I will update before the deadline. But for the time being, I think I'm leaning towards the star boy, Mason Greenwood. So guys, there you have it. That is my team selection video for the upcoming game week. As I said, haven't completely decided on that transfer. It's likely that I will make the transfer, but I do also really like the option of rolling. But as I said, if you follow me on social media, I will update you on that. Obviously, if you have any of your own comments or questions or queries and you want an opinion on them, post them below. I'll try to get onto that and help you and advise where I can, but also other people I'm sure will help advise you as well. So do post any questions you've got below. I'll try and get around to answering them all. If you have been enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We're approaching 2,000 subscribers, which is great, and I want to keep growing, and I'm just absolutely loving creating content for you guys. So please do subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so that you know when the videos go live. So good luck for game week 2. Hopefully it's another big scoring game week. Hopefully we get another 100 plus score. But if we don't, remember that game weeks in isolation shouldn't be too much of a worry, and that I'm sure we can bounce back come game week 3. But I hope you enjoy the weekend of football. I hope your FPL team does really well, and I'll catch you after game week 2 where we'll review game week 2 and look ahead to game week 3. Catch you all soon, guys. Bye-bye.